Motherhood is emotionally complex, even when it's deeply wanted. And that complexity is what today's conversation explores. Welcome. I'm Tiara Duncan, and this channel is all about women's health, from hormones and nutrition to fitness and stress. Real science, real conversations, and tools to help you thrive. Today, I'm joined by Amanda Gibbons, a licensed clinical social worker and the founder of Restoring Heart and Home, where she supports mothers and parents navigating perinatal mental health challenges, birth trauma, grief, and the identity shifts that can come with early parenthood. Hi, Amanda.
Hello. Thank you
Thanks
for
for
having
uh,
me.
thanks for coming on today. So, Amanda, when we talk about grief in motherhood, what are we actually describing?
So many different facets of it. And grief in motherhood is something that I think a lot of times people think, well, I didn't have someone die, and so that's not me. But the reality of it is when things change in our life, when the trajectory doesn't go as we planned, that's grief. When we lose a part of ourselves that we wish we still had, that's grief too.
So why is it that so many women experience this kind of grief without realizing it?
A lot of times there's shame. There's the mindset of, I wanted this. I wanted motherhood. And so
Mm,
how can I be so sad? I have so many mothers that come to me and they're like, everything is so good. I love my
mm.
baby. I love my spouse, but I'm sad. And it's that shame, that part of us that we feel like we have to have it all together. And I think that's the hardest part to come to grips with, that both can be true. We can hold both.
What parts of motherhood do you in a kind of identity, like, shift, right? When we go from being single and being carefree to having those responsibility, like, what are those identity shifts?
So it's so completely individualistic because our lives were so different and so unique before we had kids. And I know for me, I can remember the exact moment that I felt it, that 10 weeks after I had my first baby, my husband went and did something that normally me and him would go to do together. And I had to stay back because we had a 10-week-old and in the middle
Mm,
of the winter with sickness, and my heart shattered. And it wasn't because he didn't want to be with the baby or he couldn't, it's that I wanted him to reconnect with his past self. And I had to stay back and grieve that part. And I remember feeling a whole full body experience of grief that I am not who I was before, and it's okay.
yeah, so how does the nervous system respond to kind of these signals and these emotions, and why does that often get kind of, interpreted as a failure?
Our nervous system is so deeply connected to all parts of us. Our emotions, our body, all of those things that we feel it so intensely. And I often tell people that when your nervous system is activated, it's really hard to tap into the logical part of your brain because the emotional part is the part that takes over. And when we're emotional and we're not able to be that logical person we need to be, we get sucked into the spiral, and the spiral goes places that we didn't think it would take us. And so it is that deep core feeling of failure or not being good enough or not having what we had before, or looking at friends and saying, well, they're able to make it work, why can't I?
Mm. Oh,
And
the
I think
comparison game.
yes, yes, and I see so many women that I work with that say like, "Well, my sister-in-law or my friend or this person or the other, they bounced back either physically or emotionally or employment, so many different ways." And it's really hard to say, "It's okay where you are right now." We all don't have to be where the other person is, and maybe you don't actually know what her battle is.
Yeah, you saying that makes me think a lot about social media, right? Where I think it's there's a lot of good. Women are communicating things like, "Hey, this isn't great," or pregnancy loss, or infertility struggles, or just like toddlers are crazy people, and no one told us that toddlers are just little crazy people. But on the flip side, you do see like everything's, a lot of things are very curated.
Mhm.
So, like, do you in your practice when you're working with parents and women specifically, how much of that is kind of a factor?
Huge. It really is. And a lot of times I have to tell people to take a break from social media.
Mm,
What is it giving you? Are you gaining energy from being on social media? Are you feeling empowered? Or are you comparing or beating yourself up or feeling as though you're not good enough? Because what it does to you as when you're done on social media, Instagram, whatever it may be, what are you feeling afterwards? If it's not feeding you, it's not helping. And that's the big
mm.
message that I'm usually putting out there. Because sometimes it does help, like you said, sometimes you see moms that say, "I've gone through pregnancy loss," and you can connect with them. There are some moms that say, "I've got it all together," and you can't connect with them, but you also don't know what that looks like behind the scenes.
Yeah, I was just thinking about, a lot of the identity shift is talked about postpartum, but I know for me personally, pregnancy was wild, right?
Yeah.
There were complications and even without complications, I was kind of blindsided by the just emotional change, the weight of
Mhm.
what it meant or what it means for me to become a mother, right? Like, what does
Yeah.
that mean? How do I want to be? How do I want to raise this child? Do you find that you see a lot of women during pregnancy, or is it mostly postpartum? And then how often do you have that conversation in kind of the pregnancy stage?
I wish that women would come during the pregnancy stage,
Mm.
but oftentimes people come when it gets bad. And
Ah,
yeah, they have a tendency to just say like, "Well, I can work this out. I can figure it out." We all have that mentality. And so you push through pregnancy, you push through, and then after the baby comes, when the hormones are raging and you have
yeah.
that moment of I'm struggling. That's when I usually see women. And I have love to be there with women in that stage. But I think it's also really important that people come during pregnancy when you can be more preventative rather than reactive. And so if we can start during pregnancy and we can start working through a lot of that mental shift, then research shows that you'll have an easier time postpartum because you'll kind of have your feet under you as far as your mental health with that.
So if someone is listening to this right now and going, but how do I know if what I'm struggling with is normal, quote unquote, or if I really need some help, if I need some
Mm,
guidance, what are kind of some things that you would tell them?
yeah. I always say normal is relative. It is what your world is compared to others. It's not. I hate the word normal. It's my least favorite word in the dictionary. Hate it because it's not, it can't be defined. Coming to therapy is not, you don't come to therapy when things are absolutely terrible. You just come when you need support. And it can be that you come to therapy when things just feel a little off in the beginning. And sometimes you can come when everything is falling apart. Both are okay too. And I just wish that women would come to therapy or find supports in any way, whether it be a group
Mm.
therapy practice or find reaching out to friends anytime they start to feel a tinge of something change. Community is ultimately where we find our strength, and I wish that we relied on that more often.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing you say is there's no like if you're having X, Y, and Z symptom, you should go talk to somebody. It's like if you start feeling like you don't have support or
Mhm.
you're feeling a little bit lost in that transition, then find a therapist, talk to a friend. Not everybody has the village. Sometimes you have to create the village, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's really good guidance, right? Because I think sometimes as women, we do try to do it all. We do try to
Mhm.
manage all the things, and can get lost in the if I'm unable to do this, I must not be good enough.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
perfectionism. How do you see kind of this manifest itself, whether it be physical, symptoms or emotional, like, what do you see as an outcome when that overwhelm is there?
Yes, it's so deeply rooted into our physical and our emotional. And I'm not an expert in the physical world, but I can tell you that I see women who experience so many physical symptoms, and those are usually the sign before everything gets really bad. And it's that we
Interesting.
push those off because we're moms, we're women. Like that's just what we do. We just keep trudging even when everything is struggling. But it's usually the upset stomach, the headaches,
Mm. Okay.
can't sleep at night. Usually those are the symptoms that people notice first, and they're like, "It's okay. I can
Stuff
push
it.
through that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just stuff it
Put 'em in a
down.
box. Yep, take my Tums, I'll be okay."
Take my
And
Tums. Yeah.
that's what, like, so many women are like, "Yeah, I take a Tums every day." I'm like, "That's usually a sign that you're
Okay.
experiencing anxiety or you're experiencing grief or something. Your body is telling you that something's off, and you're trying to push it aside." And I'm not a medical provider, so a lot of times people are asking like, "Well, how do I solve that?" And I'm like, "Well, we're gonna solve the mental health, but I'm gonna recommend you
Sure.
find someone for the physical." But it's
Sure.
usually hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned earlier, the nervous system, it's connected to your body. Those inputs and outputs is
Mhm,
all one system, right? And so that's kind of a those are great points you made, right? If you are not sleeping or you're sleeping but you're always exhausted when you wake up, if your digestion is off, I would even say like I had a lot of postpartum anxiety and I had never
mhm.
been a really anxious person and I would like wake up like, "Where's the baby? What's going on?" It's
Yes.
kind of a sign to me like, "Okay, something is out here." Um, I also think about, like, mom culture tends to come with, like, a badge of, you know, if you can get through it, just get through the day, have a glass of wine, do this, do that. Like, how do you work with that? Or how do you kind of trying to think of what I'm trying to ask here. With mom culture, what are kind of some of the things that you work with that?
Yeah. So a lot of it that I see comes down to our core beliefs as a person. And I'm not good enough. Therefore, I just have to keep pushing so that I am good enough. Or, I don't want everyone to know that I'm struggling. And so I am just going to push through that day and then drink my glass of wine and start tomorrow again. And although that's okay, it's okay to have those days. We're all going to have them. They're going to be here. But it's also about how do you put systems in place to support you? How do you
Mm,
recognize what it is at your core that drives you, and then finding things that help that? And whether that's hiring a life coach or a health coach or nutritionist, someone that helps you put those systems in place. Because I know early postpartum, your brain is not firing at the capacity
mm-mm,
that it used to. And I know for
mm-mm,
me, that created a lot of shame. Like normally, I'm quick, I'm on it. And now
right.
I'm leaving things out and I'm forgetting appointments. And I'm not like this. And so then for me, I know that created a lot of like, what is wrong with me? But really, it's that you are giving all of you for this little being. You
Yeah,
are, whether you're breastfeeding, formula feeding, no matter what, you are giving every
your
part of your
attention.
body.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
not a moment to your own
You don't
brain.
think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And even if
and
you go back to work, you're still
oh my
getting
gosh, yes.
everything together for
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also, like, there's the physiological change, right? The placenta during pregnancy, and a lot of women don't know this.
Yeah.
When you become pregnant, the placenta is what takes over the estrogen and the progesterone and
Mhm.
all the hormone production. So when the placenta leaves the body, either through a C-section or vaginal birth, your hormones go. So your ability
Yep.
to regulate is not only you're not only sleep deprived and your boobs hurt
Mhm.
and
Your
and you
whole
just
body, everything
you
hurts.
literally just, gave birth.
Yes,
So your body has to recover from that. But your hormones are like, "Hey man, we'll be back in, a few months." Oh, and
yes,
also by the way, you're expected to, bounce back and breastfeed perfectly and, all these other things. It's yeah, I wish there was more kind of education out there on, hey, it's
mhm.
not just your brain. Your body's gone through a significant transition.
Yes, when I tell women that your hormones are likely what's dictating this emotional spiral, or
Yes.
oftentimes you're the hormone shift, you've gotta ride this out, it actually takes a layer of shame off. And almost every time when I
Mm.
explain the hormonal process of postpartum and birth and everything that goes along with that, a lot of times I see women's shoulders drop and they say,
Mhm.
"Oh, there's not something wrong with me."
I'm not
And I'm like,
crazy, right? Like
"Yes."
we and I know saying the word crazy can be a little bit controversial, but I think some of us think that, like, if I
Yeah,
lost my mind, like, I'm who am I?
yes,
You know?
yes. And then when
Yeah,
people are like, "Wait, it is just hormones."
it
Oh,
is
okay,
yeah,
okay.
for sure, for sure. And then
And you
again,
experience yeah.
the identity shift, right? I was this person and that person, and I could think clearly, and I didn't have mom brain, and I could, in my world with the fitness world, I could deadlift whatever amount of weight, and now picking up just a barbell is so hard for me. Who am I?
Yes, yes. It's completely changes how you view yourself, and that's the part that I wish that moms could see, that the rest of the world oftentimes isn't looking at you like that, but you are
Mm.
looking at you like that,
So you're
and
being
you're
like
harder on you.
your worst critic is yourself, and
Yeah.
nobody's like, oh, Jan should have really did this today, or whatever.
I'm sure
Mm.
the first time you went back to the gym, everyone was like, "Wow, she's back. Oh my goodness." And in your mind, you're thinking, I can't deadlift what I used to."
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, shoot, it wasn't even there was no touching a barbell for a long time. I was like, I'm here to breathe and walk. But definitely, definitely an identity shift when you think how do I say this? You put your worth and your capabilities, and
Mhm.
then when that's sidelined, yeah, it's what's if you were to tell mothers like what's one thing they should really know about grief and becoming, what would that be?
I don't know if I can narrow it into one, but
We can make it 2,
the
3, 4.
motherhood and grief are gonna coincide the whole journey. And I think a
Mm.
lot of times people think that if I can just get through this phase, if I can just get through
Oh,
newborns, if
yeah.
I can just get through toddlerhood, if I can just get through elementary school. And although meeting those deadlines, congratulations, you did it.
You did it,
There
yeah.
also is going to be another grief process that comes along with it. Sending your child to kindergarten the first time, you're going to
Ugh,
re-experience it.
I'm not ready.
My oldest turns 4 at the end of the month, and I'm already having a little moment of, "Oh my goodness, 4 years since I gave birth for the first time." And there is grief that's gonna come with every single part of the journey. You're never gonna check the box and say, "I am healed from grief." It's gonna just resurface in different ways. It's gonna shape you in different ways, and letting yourself be along for the journey without the shame, without holding yourself to a certain standard, just experiencing it, that's gonna help you be, I hate to use the word successful, but help you move through it easier.
I think that's so beautifully said. So it's really not about getting over it. It's about giving yourself grace
Mhm.
and checking in with yourself, understanding that this is just part of the process, and that once you become a parent, it's always on your mind, whether
Yeah.
they're 2 or 52. Like, you don't stop being, worried about your kid, or, figuring out who you are, right? So I'm sure there's that aspect too. Once your child is independent or doing these
Yeah.
things, you have to be like, "Okay, well, where's my role now as a parent?" That's gotta evolve. Is that something that you
Yes.
see as well?
Yes, yes, and interestingly, in my personal life, I turned 35 on Saturday,
Happy birthday.
and my thank you. My mom had that moment of, "Oh my goodness, 35 years ago, I brought you into this world," and I could see it in her eyes and in the way that she talked to me about how she's my best friend, but it's
Aw,
taken us 35 years to get here, you know? And we had our bumps in the road, and our relationship, it ebbed and flowed, and it growed, and sometimes it didn't grow, and it was different parts of it. Teenage years were a little rough. We
yeah,
found our way, and I think that's the beautiful part, is that, I look at my son and I think, "Oh my goodness, 4 years," and my mom looks at me and goes, "Oh my goodness, 35 years," and her mom looks at her, and
right.
that's the motherhood journey. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, Amanda, and taking the time to kind of talk through, like, for me, the biggest takeaway from this has been that it's a process, and it's an ongoing process.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
we can give ourselves some permission to feel the feels, get support when we need support, and
Mhm.
not just try to stuff things down and push through and push through. Where
Yes.
can women find you?
I'm on Instagram, Restoring Heart and Home, as well as Facebook, but it's Restoring Heart and Home LLC. I guess someone
Okay.
stole my Facebook tag, so I had to add that to
Oh,
it. Um, and then my website is restoringheartandhome.com. And Restoring Heart and Home is kind of a tongue twister. And it's one of those things that back in the Chip and Joanna Gaines time, I created
okay.
an Etsy page and I was making things, and that was my tagline. And then when it came time to start my own practice, it kind of resurfaced and I saw it and I said, you know what? I want to work with women and I want to restore their hearts so
Oh,
that I can restore the home. And so it's kind of a full circle moment that too, that even when I was 22 and selling wooden signs on Etsy,
yes.
that
Okay.
name kind of came with the journey that someday I was going to help moms and help women who go through those transitional. So you can find me, yeah, website, Instagram, Facebook, and I'd love to talk to anyone who just wants to process things and work through what it is that's going on in their own personal individual life.
Well, you're doing amazing work. I love that you have that passion, and make sure to follow Amanda on all the socials and on her website. See you guys in the next episode.